Would Socrates be afraid of this place? Here among the dead, would the world's most famous philosopher tremble, or would he feel completely at peace? Why do we fear death? And would Socrates say that fear is a mistake? Quote, "To fear death is nothing other than to think oneself wise when one is not." From the Apology. Socrates viewed death as either a dreamless sleep or a migration of the soul to another realm. Where are they now? 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 The Socratic angle is that either way, death is not worth fearing, nor what comes after. Socrates once said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." Socrates would have cared more about how these people lived than how they died. Socrates was put on trial for corrupting the youth of Athens, but chose to keep philosophizing and keep hold of his integrity rather than avoid death. This man died in Luxembourg in 1945, gave his life for the cause of liberty. Though this man's sacrifice is different from the sacrifice of Socrates, it is also the same in some ways. This man gave his life to free the world from tyranny and to protect the allies of the United States of America. He went where his country called him to go, and that is where he lay. But Socrates did something similar. He fought for his own home in Athens many times, many battles. But what he eventually was killed for was that he wouldn't stop asking questions. If he just would have stopped philosophizing, stopped questioning society and the gods and the logic of the elite, then he could have lived. Instead, he chose to stay true to himself and to follow who he was until the very end. Plato, Socrates' student, once said, "Those who practice philosophy are in training for dying." What does this mean? When we examine our lives, ask why we do what we do, why we believe what we believe, and why we have done what we have done, when we shape our understanding of ourselves and our past and our world, then we can better prepare ourselves for our future. And what awaits everyone is death. That is the lens through which philosophers look at many questions about human existence and their lives, their suffering, their pain, but also their joy. And that kind of defines them, doesn't it? Death is the lens through which we define ourselves. Philosophers know this especially. Clarity doesn't sit and wait. Philosophy isn't some abstraction. It is understanding why we are the way we are and choosing to become somebody who analyzes themselves, who tries to understand themselves better, rather than just going along with the flow of society and societal ideals, to question society itself, to question the gods, to question morality and why we have these morals. Philosophers do these things. Socrates did these things. And it makes quite a remarkable individual, somebody who is ready to die. But readiness for death is not what we usually imagine it to be. It doesn't mean that these philosophers or Socrates wanted to die, but he lived a life that if he were to put a period at the end of the sentence, he would be happy with what came before it, rather than continuing. We each have to try to live a life like that, where if we were to die right now, then we would be happy with the person that we were at this moment. Would Socrates be afraid of this place? No, because he believed that if we live wisely, reflectively, and with care for our souls, we have nothing to fear from death. The question becomes not if Socrates is afraid of this place, but are you, and why? If you are afraid of death, why do you fear it? If you died right now, have you reflected upon life enough? Have you reflected upon yourself enough to where you can say you died understanding yourself? If not, then ask questions. Think of Socrates and how he questioned everything, and how he was looking forward to either a peaceful sleep after death or the ability to continue to question people in other realms. This is what he looked forward to. Do you look forward to death? Do you look forward to what comes after? How do you understand yourself? Ask these questions. Think and never stop asking. Thank you. Socrates drank the poison that they gave him, surrounded by friends and companions whom he often questioned and wondered about life with. He died himself, doing what he loved, as the person whom he had become. A key to understanding Socrates is to ask ourselves, what is it to live a deliberate life rather than an unconscious life? A life where we have will rather than we are just inflicted upon by circumstance. A life that we control, that we choose, rather than one that is given to us or that we happen upon. Socrates asked questions like, do the gods do what is good, or is something good because the gods do them? In one instance, if gods do things because it is good, then morality is beyond the gods and they are irrelevant. In the other, are things good because the gods do them? Well, the gods did all kinds of things in the stories, anything under the sun, so that means humanity can do whatever they want. Questioning morality like this is what got Socrates in trouble in the end, but he asked many questions of society before his final fate. When his fate came, he accepted it. How can you employ the Socratic method in your life? How can you use it to shape and change how you behave and what you believe? How can you prepare for death through philosophy? Think of how much more time you have or have had than this little person that was only 2 years old when they died. What have you done with all the life that you've lived until now? And if it hasn't been enough, if it hasn't been filled with questions and self-inquiry, now's the time to start. Experiment with your thoughts. Go to graveyards and contemplate life. You may better understand your own. So many tombstones. How many lives contemplated? It is not for us to judge, but it is for us to imagine the sense of urgency that comes with a life that is limited to only a handful of years.